Hey, shh. Calm down. The show is about to start. Reese on the radio. Turn it up. Turn it up low. Turn it up loud.
It's like a dream come true.
Turn on your radio. Reese is on the radio.
Yo, let's get it.
Due to the nature of this program, discretion does not exist. It's Reese on the radio. Right now on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Happy Monday! Hello! And welcome back to your friendly neighborhood and one and only Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080. Pleasure to be here. Good to have Roland back. Roland is back in town. It's good when you're back, man. I know you got a whole bunch of things to do, but when you're gone, you are missed. People always ask like, "Hey, where's Roland?" Nothing against Joey. We love Joey too. But where's Roland? People, you're like a cup of Joe. You're like people come to the show and it's like Roland's not here. It's like there's some sort of element missing. So when you're gone, they miss you. So just to let you know, because I know they're going to ask, Roland's back? Yes, Roland is back. Show flows a certain way when you're here.
Yeah. Nah, man. I mean, I guess it was a good time.
It was?
Yeah.
Did you see at least some decent performances by the dance troupe, as it were?
Yeah. Well, a lot of them. Well,
they were awful. Huh?
My you know what the problem is, Reese?
Yeah.
My standards, because of my music background, and I gotta stop being like that, so critical. But I'm always extra critical, even of my daughter when she's dancing. I'm like, you see, when you walked off stage, you look back at the judges, and you didn't have a smile on your face. You had a kind of like a just regular blank stare.
Yeah.
You gotta go all the way through to the end. And when you get in the back, if you're hurting or you're tired or you gotta cry, you do it back there. But while you're on that stage,
you gotta look happy.
You kill it, and you make all the right facial expressions until you get out of the judge's sight. Then you can complain or
you can lose it. Yeah.
Lose it or whatever you have to do afterwards.
You know what that is? You may very well be a stage dad. I mean, do you consider yourself that?
No, I'm always in a they have stage dads. They have the dads that wear my dance dad shirts and all of that.
Really?
I don't do none of that. I'm in the background, way in the back. I sit in the back. My wife likes to sit in the front to get a better view. Mm-hmm. I sit in the back and I have my critiques in my head as things are happening, and then I'll like take a couple notes and then send her a text message while she's in the back. Hey, then your next set, you make sure you're doing X, Y, and Z.
Okay.
Stuff like that.
Do you not sit up front because she may be like, you think that may intimidate her or sort of put her in a position where she has to perform to a higher expectation because she's concerned about your critique?
No, initially when she was younger, I started sitting in the back because when we sat in the front, she would look at us. Oh. And then now she's trying to dance, but then she'll look at us, and then now she's like all confused. So I started sitting in the back initially because of that.
Okay.
But then when she got older, that didn't matter. But I just wanted to, I'm just a play the back kind of guy.
Yeah. No, but that much we know. We try to get you on the front here. so no, I understand that. But I know what you're talking about is like, being there in the front, kids are always seeking their parents' approval in some way, even when they try to play it off that they're not. So I get your point that you put yourself out of that contention so that she's not focusing on you. She's focusing on the task at hand. She may not have that same sort of vision when mom is there. Mom's there for moral support. That's great. But dads are different. They, daughters always want to look, especially involved dads. They want to look great for their fathers. And that overcompensation of making sure dads have the face of approval will distract them from the task.
Correct.
Yeah. All right. Smart move. Well, I'm glad you're back.
We're back. They place actually way higher than I thought they would because
really
it was world. So they had London, China. It was everybody there in New Jersey.
Damn, this is serious.
Yeah, and once I saw the London's and China's routines, I was like, yeah, that's going to be first and second. So the best we can hope for is third, and they actually did get third. So they picked, it's like 100 performances that day. And they took the top 5 from every category. So, and then the top 5 had to battle it out for first, second, and third.
And they still made it. Now that's look.
They made it fifth. Because the routine was, if they didn't have the tricks, I don't think they would have made it, because they were kind of like going through the motions, because I think they were just intimidated, like, we're not going to win this anyway, so we're just going to dance.
Right.
But then once they made it to fifth, they realized, oh, we can actually play.
We have a shot.
Yeah, and then they brought it up a notch, and I was like, okay, that's what I wanted to see. But they, like I said, they still ended up in third, which is not terrible.
Yeah, especially when you're going up against people all over the world.
Yeah. It was China first, London second, Hartford, Connecticut third.
Hey, you can't listen. No offense, I can take third place when I know first and second are other worlds.
Yeah.
You know, like other countries in the world.
Yeah.
You can't get better than that. So congratulations. Congratulations just for placing third. You can't. Hey, it's like the Olympics. You know what I mean? Getting a bronze is just as good.
Yeah, a bronze is a medal.
Yeah, that's right. I'm really, man, that's exciting for you. It's got to be good. I don't know. I've never, my kids never pretty much amounted to.
It's just, what I will say about that is they are, when I say hand over fist making crazy, I just did one of my episodes for my podcast about how much they're making hand over fist with that money. It's more. I thought AAU basketball was making bank.
Oh, this competition
5-6 times what AAU basketball make.
We watch these dance competitions all the time. They're like different age groups, but they're like adults. I think World of Dance is another one that's really, really big. And those competitors are really, really good. We sit there and all and just go, goodness gracious, if I could move like that till today, I'd be half,
Yeah,
I would just be grateful.
I've probably seen one or the two to max entries that could possibly go to be on like World of Dance or something like that.
Yeah.
But you have to be extraordinary. You really do.
I'm not going to lie, because every time I'm never, ever disappointed at stopping and watching one of those videos on TikTok or Instagram. Yep. I watch it all the way through, and I'm always thoroughly impressed. So congratulations to her, man. Placing third is not bad. I could sleep. I could sleep at night with that.
It was an easy ride home. I'll say that.
Definitely, I can imagine. Got plenty of news and plenty of views to talk about today. We got to talk about the borrowing of $155 million, because obviously politicians have run out of ideas on how to deal with this Eversource problem. So now we're just borrowing money, and they'll pass that savings on to you. We'll get into that later on in the show. Stand by for that. Also, we're going to talk about the Connecticut Sun. Who was the person who told you that Connecticut was not going to fight to keep the Sun in the state of Connecticut? This guy told you that, and that's where we are now. Although it is not set in stone, it looks like the WNBA may be putting the kibosh on it, but I do believe they're leaving, and we'll talk about a great story that I read about the Connecticut Sun, and they're moving. And a lot of people are upset, saying that the natural progression of this league, or at least this franchise, should go to Boston. And what the WNBA is actually saying about why they don't want Boston to get the team, which seems to not make much sense. We'll get into that as well. But for now, I've got to talk about this. And that is, the Democrat Party has decided it's just going to embrace socialism. It has realized that it doesn't have a choice. It is not going to be a natural progression. It is not going to be this sort of surprise, we're communists. It's not going to happen. It's going to be done in a very subtle way. And the subtle way it's going to happen is going to be aided and abetted by the news media. And this aiding and abetting is going to be done through policy. Let me give you a small example. Last week, William Tong, Attorney General of Connecticut, gave a press conference that is in support of gender-affirming care for children. That is not a moderate Democrat position. Never has been, never will be. But even after the November election, it is now the hill Democrats are willing to die on. We know that William Tong did not initiate that lawsuit against the Trump administration. He jumped on board. And now he has the backing of none other than Governor Ned Lamont, who many of you might remember. I played it here on a Bloomberg podcast. It was Lamont who was saying that the middle was getting smaller and smaller, and that it wasn't a place where moderates could survive anymore. Here's what he exactly said. Listen to this.
Governor, it seems like for both parties, perhaps, the extreme right, the extreme left seems to be driving the politics for each of those parties. Is there even a center left for either party or both parties?
It's getting smaller because I'm there, and you're right. I think after Donald Trump's election, the Republicans are a lot less likely to want to talk to me. I always had a big table and an open door, and a lot of people looked at me and said, "It looks a little like a Republican." And the Democrats are sort of really fighting Trump every day, and if you don't go after him on a daily basis, you're sort of being weak in terms of your principles. So you're right, the middle is getting very small, and that's not a good thing for America.
That's right. It says the middle is getting small, and that's not a good thing for America. Then why is he moderating towards the left? Gender-affirming care is an 80-20 issue. And the 20 is the progressive wing of the Democrat Party. But here he is. Here William Tong is, who has political aspirations beyond the Attorney General's office. You know that. I know it. But that sentiment is growing. Listen to what Gen Z had to say. Fox Digital did this. Everyone's talking about it. But listen to these kids. Because, again, they need them. Moderate Democrats, as Lamont just said, is getting smaller as the progressive left grows larger. And what are they left to do in order to survive? Well, they can't just wither away. They have to join the fold.
I think that, me being also a young person, a young voter, a college student, seeing people like Dr. Mamdani, AOC just gaining so much more footing and so much more recognition in the policy field is very empowering. It's giving me a lot of optimism. I think it's mobilizing a lot of youth to also really align more with the socialism platform, because there's a lot of stigma, especially in the more conservative side with socialism. So the fact that people are really advocating for very common sense policies like healthcare for all and more affordability is really empowering.
There needs to be some sort of change within the party that fits with the energy that is surrounded with young people. Because yes, sometimes a lot of these policies seem out there, they haven't been tried before, but sometimes we need politicians and leaders who are willing to fail and are willing to try.
I'm sorry. That young lady said, sometimes we need some policies that haven't been tried before. Oh, silly child. Again, this is what they're selling these kids, that these socialist ideas are brand new. Silly, silly rabbit. They're not new. No one's trying anything new. It's the same thing your grandparents were trying in the 60s.
I think candidates like Zoran Mamdani and AOC are really inspiring to see. They, someone like Mamdani, a Muslim like me, and Zainab here, it's so inspiring to see. And so I think that someone like that in 2028 can carry a lot of momentum. I think people are so excited. The New York City mayoral election, right? Whoever thought that people in Texas, where we're from, would ever be excited about that?
And that's the other thing that I told you, which is turning out to be true. Young Democrats all over the country are focusing on Mamdani. They believe that a Mamdani win in November is licensed to grow that sentiment everywhere. They would be emboldened by the number one city in the country electing a communist. See, folks, it works. See, Democrats, listen to us. There's audio today from the socialist wing of the Democrat Party saying we hate the Democrat Party. They don't want to align with them. They don't want to coalesce around them. They wish to destroy the Democrat Party because it's old and outdated. And it's got 71-year-olds like Lamont. It's got John Larson. It's got Elizabeth Warren. Hell, Bernie Sanders is still their hero, but they want no parts of him. They're not even relevant. Why? Because he's not even viable. He has their same ideas, but he's old, which, again, completely must be rejected. It's a bunch of children, folks. And the Democrats have no one to blame but themselves. They gave the children the keys. And if they didn't give them the keys, they didn't keep an eye on the liquor cabinet. Because the kids have broken in. The kids have stolen the keys. The kids are drunk driving. And they're in charge. There were a bunch of children throwing tantrums. And Democrats can't control them. They keep forgetting that they bore this. They brought this to you. Now, I've said this a long time ago, that leftists and Democrats and, well, I repeat myself, they don't know what they're doing. They never have. They've always acted like children. They've always based their policy on what makes them feel good. Aborting a baby feels good. It liberates you. Sex with whomever they want to without consequences. They love that. They love all of that stuff because it's about being irresponsible. It's about anarchy. There are no consequences for life as far as they're concerned, and everything that they do, no matter how bad it may be, must be subsidized. Because they don't want anybody to feel bad. And if you act like children and you have children, the children will eventually be in charge. Oh, look at them. They're so wise beyond their years. You taught them to behave this way. And now they're in the supermarket throwing a tantrum while the rest of us, adults and normal people, look at you like you're weird. What's wrong with them? What's wrong with that? And then they scream at you, don't judge me. My child's just expressing himself. And then they eventually give them the cookies and the candies and the treats. Won't feed them their vegetables or make them go to their rooms or do their homework. And now look what they have. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Zoran Mamdani. And a legion of small children who are now in charge. And the old folks can't do anything about it. They don't want to criticize these kids. They don't want to discourage them. So instead of actually doing that, these bozos over at Bloomberg saying, well, there's radicals on both sides. Instead of pointing out what the real problem is, Bloomberg, and that is your side that's doing the most damage. And once they get a hold of everything, it's over. When we come back, I'll explain what I said a long time ago. We are at the precipice where 2028 will be decided between communists and capitalists. When we get back, don't go anywhere. More news, more views, and, of course, your phone calls at 860-522-WTIC. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
This is WTIC News Talk 1080 Operations Manager Steve Salhaney. Happy birthday, WTIC News Talk 1080.
Steve! I love Steve. I love his voice, too. Anyway, Reese on the radio, WTIC News Talk 1080. Got plenty of news and plenty of views for you. Of course, all the way out on the West Coast, John Beckman is checking us out. Good morning. It's still morning time for him out there. And L.A. is in Cleveland. Don't ask. How you doing, L.A.? And Max just joined the chat room. If you'd like to join the chat room, go to ReeseOnTheRadio.com. That's REESE OnTheRadio.com. Join us on Facebook. Or you can just chat right there from the website. I'll read your comments as they pertain to the show. I was just listening to the bottom of the hour news with John Silva, and Democrats in Connecticut are talking about how Donald Trump wishes to criminalize homelessness. And this goes right to the heart of my opening monologue about the radical left and the socialist left is aligning itself without having to say that it's a socialist party. Now, I want you to think about this. There's no spin attached to what I'm about to give you because this comes directly from NPR. It's come from NPR. They're reporting Donald Trump's executive order called Ending Crime and Disorder on American Streets is to prioritize discretionary grants for states and localities that enforce existing or adopted prohibitions on urban camping, loitering, squatting, and open illicit drug use. The left says this is criminalizing homelessness, which means this is what they describe being homeless like. Now, I don't know about you, but being homeless, I knew exactly what it was about, having done it for so many years. A champion of homelessness is your host. Now, these bozos, and I say that in the ivory towers on both parties, who know nothing about this, who've never had to live on the streets, ride the subways or trains, sleep on park benches or sleep in hallways, having no access to food or shelter or bathing facilities. I'm talking to you as one of those who experienced it, not for a weekend getaway. It was a livelihood for 3 years. That I didn't do any of this stuff. I didn't loiter. Well, you could call it loitering when I was sleeping inside of a partially abandoned apartment building on the second floor where I would sleep. Thank God the neighbors knew who I was and, of course, knew that I was a 15-year-old who had nowhere else to go. So they never called the cops on me. They just let me sleep there. I was known in the neighborhood, but they couldn't do anything for me. So they just let me sleep. Never harassed me, was never bothered. By the way, urban camping, loitering, squatting, and open illicit drug use is not the definition of homeless. That's the definition of vagrancy. But I digress. This executive order also ensures that homeless individuals are arrested for federal crimes and are evaluated for civil commitment if deemed sexually dangerous and support encampment removal efforts with federal law enforcement assistance where public safety is at risk. This is not criminalizing homelessness. This is if crimes are being committed in these encampments where people are at danger, other homeless people are in danger, to remove those threats. Again, anarchy they're supporting. To stand there and say, now remember, the only thing that the Trump administration is trying to do is get help and assistance for those who are homeless, getting them off the streets, one. If they're a mental threat to themselves and others, getting them in facilities where they can get help and cleaning up the streets. Because I don't know anyone who thinks that these people who are on the streets aren't an eyesore or it makes it difficult to navigate through. That it isn't somewhat harmful for your children to be around. Seriously. I just find it odd. Other cases where people used to be moderate and became extreme socialist. Joe Biden. Biden's IRA in 2022 included $369 billion in climate investments, echoing the Green New Deal. Kamala Harris, 2019 to 2020. Kamala Harris backed Black Lives Matter, demands for criminal justice reforms. These are not moderate Democrat issues. Hillary Clinton in 2016. Clinton adopted Bernie Sanders-inspired policies like public university tuition relief, comprehensive immigration reform with citizen paths shifting from her earlier moderate stances. In 2016, shifting her moderate stances. What were her moderate standards? or moderate stances? If they're illegals, deport them. That's what she was saying on the campaign trail as early as 2008. We're not talking about the 1960s, folks. We're talking about the early 2000s. Amy Klobuchar co-sponsored bills targeting corporate monopolies, tech giants, aligning with far-left anti-corporate sentiments. She backed Biden's Build Back Better agenda, including child tax credit and paid leave. Chuck Schumer, he endorsed raising taxes on incomes over $400,000 and backed far-left demands to alter Senate rules for expanding voter rights bills, moving from his earlier moderate positioning. What happened? And Pete Buttigieg, whatever, initially supported the public option, but evolved to endorse pathways to single-payer health care. This guy used to be like the mayor of the Midwest. What happened? They're all extreme leftists, and they have to be. They have no choice. The masks come off because they can't alienate the infants, the children who have now taken over the party, the ones that they taught in the universities. Remember, the same professors that are teaching in the universities and colleges across the country are the same college professors and teachers who these politicians sort of rode with all their lives in colleges and universities. They were all taught under the same indoctrination, from the public schools to the colleges. They're all in one magic brew. And for them to sit up here and say, knock it off. They don't have a choice. The kids are in control. And the kids are not all right, I might add. They're not. They're a mess. So, I don't know what else to think. I think come this November, I think it's fair to say, come this November, that it will be a seismic shift for the Democrat Party. I believe that this November, the conversation will be, or begin to be, what country are we? And not that I think there'll be some sort of like war. Republicans or conservatives will finally be, I guess, exonerated for saying for a long time, see, I told you they were communists. See, I told you, but yeah, we get it. And by the way, don't fluff yourself because you were right. The bottom line is that Republicans, conservatives, libertarians, it's not enough to just be right, that you saw the writing on the wall. It isn't enough. You have to ask yourself, what did you do to influence others that was the wrong way to go? I get a lot of guff from people in this medium and outside of it and onlookers and listeners and all that other stuff who constantly say, oh, he's this, oh, he's that. They get annoyed when I look at them and I go, so? So what? Because a lot of them have spent their years and spun their wheels thinking that opinions matter and their point of view matters, while they do nothing but moan. They think that actually does something. I tell you, these darn Democrats, I tell you, these darn communists. Okay, what are you doing? Well, I don't know. What do you want me to do? What do you mean, what do I want you to do? What do you want to do? I see a lot of people complaining, and boy, do I see you on X. I see you all the time. And I pay very close attention to what you say, and definitely what you say about me. And I love it. Don't get me wrong. I used to say this a long time ago. keep my name in your mouth. Keep talking. Because the complaining gets you nowhere. I've got a record of results. And everybody knows it. I have a record of results. You have to ask yourself if you do. What mind have you changed? What young person who's voting is voting a different way? Which person have you had a conversation with who has now seen the light? What empirical evidence have you used to make your case? Oh, nobody? Oh, then fine. Do me a favor. Just complain. Just complain. When we come back, I want to read a quote. As Megyn Kelly shared it, she found it a couple of days ago, and I think it's the best quote ever. And it's written by a rhino Republican, a very famous, and I might even say world famous rhino Republican. You don't want to miss it, so stick around. We'll be back. More news, more views than you can shake a stick at. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080. We're back. Reese on the radio, WTIC News Talk 1080. Telephone number 860-522-WTIC, 860-522-9842. Don't forget, always go to reeseontheradio.com. That's REESE on the radio.com. By the way, we have a new page up or a new link up that you can share with us the stupidest story you've read. You can go there and you just find it. Just put the link there and we'll find it. And we'll check it out and we'll even announce who you are. Like we'll say, like Johnny R. from Bristol with this story. So if you've got a stupidest thing that you've read today and you want to share it with the show, go to reeseontheradio.com to do that now. Now, I want to share this with you. He is the most famous rhino, Republican in name only, in the history of the world. And he has a great quote about complaining. Many of you may have even heard it before. I just found it the other day because I don't really follow this gentleman. But when I read the quote and I saw Megyn Kelly share it, I went, I got to talk about that. I got to say it on the air. Here's the quote, and then I'll tell you who it is. In fact, Roland, we'll see if you can guess who this famous person is. He wrote, "No complaining about a situation unless you're prepared to do something to make it better. If you see a problem and you don't come to the table with a potential solution, I don't want to hear you whining about how bad it is. It couldn't be that bad if it hasn't motivated you to try to fix it." Who do you think said that? He is very famous, probably one of the most famous people in the world. And it's not Donald Trump. Maybe Roland's doing something else. That's all right. Okay, he's busy. I'll read it again. No complaining about a situation unless you're prepared to do something to make it better. If you see a problem and you don't come to the table with a potential solution, I don't want to hear your whining about how bad it is. It couldn't be that bad if it hasn't motivated you to try to fix it. Let's go to Tom in Thomaston before we go to break. See if he might know who this quote is. Tom, do you know who said that famous quote?
No, I have no idea.
Do you like the quote?
Yes, it's an excellent quote. That should go for all things in life.
Exactly. Indeed. That quote is from none other than the former governor of California, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah.
Reese, no, I swear to God, that was the person I was thinking. Maybe it was Arnold for getting grief about everything he didn't do.
That's right. That's the bottom. It makes so much sense because look, I know that people have become conditioned and almost addicted to complaining about anything and everything. But if you feel that passionate about it, you got to do something about it. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I wasn't all that happy with him as a governor.
Nor was I.
He was in a super liberal state.
Yeah.
He had a uphill battle for everything. So, It makes sense that he said that.
Yeah, but again, it's a great quote. Like I said, I take the quote no matter who the man is who said it. You know what I mean? It could have been Barack Obama, and I'd have still agreed with the quote.
Hey, Reese, real quick. Did you see Sean Paul Reyes talking to the governor this weekend?
No, but I know where the audio is, and give me an opportunity. I'll check it out because I got to go to a break. So stand by. Call me back in another hour. I promise I'll get to that.
All right, good.
You got it. All right, let's take a break. We got more news and more.
Break.
What's that? Oh, that's right. There is no break. I keep forgetting. You know what? I always forget that this hour is not like the other hours. I'm always screwing that up. Sorry about that. All right, you know what? Let me take Fred while he's here. How you doing, Fred?
Hey, I'm good. Word cop. Vagrant, it refers to wandering idly about, a vagabond, nomadic, tied to no home, country, or abode, roving. Yeah, vagrant, back in the day, just being idle was a real big deal. You know?
Well, I like the term vagrant. Only reason why I use the term vagrant is because I remember what happened when Denver, Colorado, started legalizing marijuana or the use of marijuana, and all of a sudden, all of these people from everywhere else in the country just started coming through the state.
Yes.
But we would always use the term these vagrants because that's what they did. They just plowed their way through Denver, moving their way up to Seattle and Portland.
I knew people in Middletown who were basically on the street, and they stuck their thumb out to go to Colorado.
Wow.
And ended up living in the woods, coming back, you know. But yeah, so just that. George Carlin has great material on that. Street people encompasses everyone. In Middletown here, yeah, we're very proud of our open, festering sores. And I've heard people say, oh, yeah, Middletown doesn't hide their dysfunctional idiot dirtbags, you know. They put them on full display. Jesse Kelly refers to Pete Buttigieg as the Rear Admiral. I think that's pretty good. And the expression you were looking for is the only thing worse than being talked about is not being talked
That's
about.
I learned that from my buddy Dutch. He said, when you become irrelevant, that's when you should worry. Indeed.
Yes.
Thank you, buddy.
All right, thank you.
You got it. All right, when we come back, we'll take more news, more views. We got headlines. We've got Rudy on the line. Stick around, Rudy. We'll get to you at the top of the hour, I promise. And a whole bunch of other stuff to get to. Again, Arnold Schwarzenegger, folks. Isn't that wild? No complaining about a situation unless you're prepared to do something to make it better. When we come back, I've actually got a story that relates to that today, and with my conversation with somebody in politics today.
Reese on the radio, making sense of the news. Yeah, even when it makes no sense at all. Now on WTIC, News Talk 1080.
We're going to get into some headlines in a minute, but as promised, Rudy's calling all the way out in Florida. Hello, sir.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfectly. What's up?
Oh, I got my headphones in. So, I got two things. I got a breaking news teaser for you.
Okay.
Mark's going to eventually call you. But first, I tried calling you. I was in my car like a half an hour, and I had to hang up. Last week, you talked about crazy black Democrats.
Yes. Well, I said that they have a tendency to be the root of where the party's going.
Right. And the Republican Party has blacks, and, you know, they're well-spoken, well-dressed, like Tim Scott and Byron Donald.
Yes.
But let's go with the Democrats and combine your hatred, and thank God the Connecticut Sun are finally moving. But with the WNBA, we could start a WNBA Democrat crazy team. You're going to have Maxine Waters, Crockett. You're going to have the last two mayors of Chicago.
Right.
You're going to have, who's that clown? The girl that ran for Georgia governor.
Stacey Abrams.
Al Green, who thinks Guam's going to tip over. You could go on and on and on.
No,
and on
that's
and on.
Hank Johnson. But yes.
Throw Al Green in there too then.
Yeah, Al Green and Hank Johnson. No, you got them both right, but just Hank Johnson's the capsize guy.
We can throw in Hakeem Jeffries.
Oh, without a doubt.
Corey, I don't know how to shut up Booker. And then it would be appropriate to have a professional any basketball team, without one white man that can't jump. And that honorary man on this all WNBA Democrat crazy team would be none other, and since you're the president of his fan club, Chris Murphy.
Yes, right. He would be the perfect coach. He would be the perfect coach.
And you low information listeners, they all suffer from anencephaly. I want you to all Google anencephaly, and I'll spell it for people that live in Wallingford. ANENCPHALY. That is what's wrong with Democrats. But here's the teaser. I don't expect you to know it either. You don't have a medical background, but
okay,
you probably can figure it out from the tone of my voice. But here's the teaser. We all know Mark's been at war with one Mary Fehey.
Correct.
Who is LGBT?
Yes.
Which is ironic because I don't think she's LGBT. I think she just hates men because she actually called two RNC members homos.
I did read that.
She doesn't even like gay men. She doesn't like you or I. She doesn't like gay men. So Mark's got some interesting information on there, and he was sharing it with me, and she slandered him.
Indeed.
And I suggested, and he's meeting with a lawyer, I suggested to go after her for defamation of character.
I think I think not only is warranted, but I think that what's also warranted is filing a false police report.
Well, there's an interesting twist to it that caught one of my favorite targets that's a caller to your show.
Uh-huh.
One Christopher Rebstock, otherwise known as Christine from Middletown, who I refer to as Shim, also sent derogatory emails to Mary Fehey.
Interesting.
So he is going to ask the lawyer if he could include Rebstock in this whole case.
Okay.
So
is it breaking now that you're telling me this?
Well, I don't have all the information.
Oh, okay.
I'm not releasing all the information. I'm just giving you a teaser that he has like emails and texts.
Well, until that, because the Mary Fehey thing wasn't really like my thing. Apparently, another radio host is all over that because he's kind of in the middle of that back and forth. So I didn't want to pile on because it wasn't exactly.
It's only a statewide problem if she runs for comptroller.
Right. Indeed. And if that happens, then it's forget about it. I mean, at that point, all bets are off. But, I know a little bit about it.
My last thing is I just want to put them to the rest assured. Joe from Simsbury and Tim from Wallingford are not implicated in this situation.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm glad that they're not. But
they'll walk it scot-free. They don't have anything to worry about.
You're the best. Thank you, Rudy. I appreciate you, sir.
Hey, you're like my favorite cellmate if I had one.
I appreciate you, sir.
You're the guy that will get out of prison before me and put money on my books.
I put a little bit.
A little bit.
I'm teasing.
You work for WTIC. A little bit's a lot of it.
Thanks, buddy. All right, let's get to some news. All right, it looks like there are going to be more shakeups on the horizon for the Tiffany Network. Reports suggest that Gayle King and her morning show overall could be on the chopping block as Paramount looks to shed its liberal bent in the news department. Now, again, this is one of those things where a lot of people have not focused on the settlement agreement with the Trump administration, which was not just to pay the administration the money for election interference, but to also incorporate some conservative views in its broadcasting. And Skydance, which is, of course, going to be the parent company of the Tiffany Network, has obliged, and they're going to dedicate money to do that. If you've ever watched the morning show, the CBS Morning News with Gayle King and the rest of those guys, it's a really leftist show. And not only that, it's plummeting in the ratings. It's third overall, if not fourth. And right now, they're they're just getting rid of all of its dead weight. Stephen Colbert was one, and now the CBS morning show looks like that's going to happen as well. According to the Associated Press, NORC Center for Public Affairs research poll says the number of people saying that Asian and black people are experiencing discrimination has dropped since the last time the survey was conducted, and that was in April of 2021. Today, 4 in 10 say that black and Hispanic people face quite a bit or a great deal of discrimination. 3 in 10 say the same about Asian people. That's actually a considerable decrease. 3 in 10 say that Asian people. And 1 in 10 say that about white people, according to the report. The last survey showed that 61% of U.S. adults said there was a great deal or quite a bit of discrimination against black Americans. A local story that we are further investigating at Reese on the radio is about a mother who's looking for answers after her 2-year-old son died in the care of a Bristol YMCA. She said that she received a call that her child had choked on a piece of a meatball. However, the staff told her that her son, Santi, was okay and breathing, but she needed to get there as soon as possible. When she arrived there, of course, the worst thing that could happen to a parent of a very young child happened, and her child was pronounced dead. But the part that people are finding interesting in this story is that the Department of Children and Families is now investigating the death, which many people find odd because DCF is supposed to be there before things like this happen or if a child is injured, not when a child dies. Now, I don't say this to be joking, but does DCF have things gotten so bad that now they have a coroner's unit? I mean, for crying out loud, like what could they possibly do now? What investigation could root or glean any information for them? They're going to interview people and say, hey, what happened? They're going to say he choked on a meatball. What investigation could they possibly have? The police need to be involved, not for any criminality, but just ask questions, ask probing questions, have detectives, talk to people who are involved. That's all you can do. But DCF, they don't have the investigative chops to get to the bottom of this. And not only that, they've got some reputation scars that they need to deal with. Waterbury, anyone? Waterbury? So the fact that DCF is taking the lead on this baffles me. But I think that there may be a little bit of politics involved in all of this because the YMCA has got a lot of deep roots in politics and civil rights within the community. So I think they're going to deal with this with kid gloves. Nonetheless, the mother is going to be burying her child, but she wants answers and she demands them. And we're going to get to the bottom of this to find out exactly what happened, and we're going to dig as deep as we possibly can. We're not going to leave this to DCF to get to the bottom of. And I guess now it's time for the stupidest thing I read today.
Yes, you do. Stupid as can be. This could very well be the stupidest person on the face of the earth.
Now, what could be dumber than this? I don't know today, but it is. A soccer fan was removed from a St. Louis soccer club game for wearing a MAGA hat. In the viral video, security is seen explaining to the man that the hat violates their position of political messaging in the stands. The MAGA hat wearer, whose name Michael Weitzel, points out that the stadium allows fans, which were there, they were there at the time, who were waving trans and pride flags. In the video, security and the police are seen and heard saying that those flags were pre-approved for display, which in essence says or suggests that in order for you to wear a Make America Great Again hat at a stadium, or at least in the St. Louis case, in their stadium, you have to have it pre-approved. Now, this sounds like obvious discrimination and the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. But there you have it. And I don't think that there was a pre-approved. I think that there was abject fear at the hands of security or anyone else for that matter to tell someone for the trans or LGBTQ supportive teams that they couldn't wave their flags at the stadium. They were scared to death. But MAGA folks, you can do whatever. But I will have to applaud this development in the story, and that is the DOJ's Department of Civil Rights is investigating. Yeah, it's nice to know that the Civil Rights Division goes both ways, huh? Yes, they are investigating this case, and we're going to see if someone's going to be held liable in discriminating against this man for wearing a MAGA hat while he is shown pointing the camera towards people waving LGBTQ flags at the same time. So that's a great development in all of this. We got coming up very soon, we'll talk about the Connecticut Sun and its possible move to Boston. A great article about that came out today saying that the reason why the WNBA is trying to fight this is for a very ridiculous reason, and it involves Boston and the year 2033. Yeah, 2033, and why they're trying to keep it from happening. And I don't know. I've got a couple of opinions about this. I do believe that Connecticut cannot. I don't think it's sustainable for the Connecticut Sun to stay, because I don't think that Connecticut folks really, really care about the team. I just don't. I really, really don't. If you want to read my Substack, go to resign.radio.com. My Substack on it, it talks about how Connecticut has lost its liberal ways, and it doesn't support the Connecticut Sun and other things that's supposed to stand for liberalism anymore. So go check it out. You got to go to resign.radio.com. Just scroll down to the Substack, and you can become a subscriber. You can get all of my articles that all come out on Sundays, talking about anything and everything. I try to keep it local. Sometimes it's national stories when they are relevant. But go check that out, and a host of a bunch of articles. One in particular that you might want to check out is the one about Charlemagne the God. I'm sorry, I laugh every time I say that name. Charlemagne is now the focal point of a lot of people talking about online because of this interview he did with Laura Trump on Fox News, and even prompting President Donald Trump to say something about it on Truth Social. And I this is one of those things where I often get ticked off at Trump for doing, wading into these conversations with irrelevant people. And I know it's because it's easy. I don't believe in punching down. I don't believe in the idea of punching down. I believe that everybody who punches should be punched. Figuratively. But if you punch, you should get punched back on. And Charlemagne has a tendency to do that, and he has a platform. But he's giving attention to a guy who doesn't deserve it. And the best way I can describe it is to read my Substacks on it. It's called Charlemagne the God Awful Pundit. And it breaks down how this guy is nothing more than a hypocrite. He preaches all the liberal talking points about hatred of millionaires and billionaires, hatred of capitalism, and then goes on his program when no one's looking and then promotes generational wealth and, what sneaker brand he's got a commercial for. He's a capitalist at heart, but no, he always degrades it for everybody else, saying how corrupt it is. Completely decrying people like Jeff Bezos. At the same time, telling everybody else to get their hustle on and make bank, pursue the bag. The guy doesn't know what he's talking about because he knows nothing. He's just a hip-hop head who said something nice about Republicans, and Republicans went wild. Oh, it's a black guy who's a liberal who said something nice about us. He's the black Bill Maher. He's not. He's a moron. He is not politically savvy. He does not know the issues. He repeats what he's told, which is why he contradicts himself all the time. If anyone ever were to follow him and watch him or read any of his stuff, you will hear the contradiction from one sentence to the next because he's not savvy at all. And he has no integrity. And if you, I mean, I don't know if you should listen to his show. If you are interested, just listen to the show and you'll see everyone else on that show is just as numbskull stupid on politics as he is. And I hate, I feel like I'm going down that road where I'm starting insulting people, but he's just not smart in the realm of politics. He just isn't. And he'll say something great about Republicans or the maneuvers that Donald Trump's making, and then you'll see folks on Fox News start playing his soundbite. Even Charlamagne the God agrees. I'm like, so what? So what? This guy is a leftist, and he is an uninformed leftist. He's literally the biggest megaphone for uninformed and low info voters. That's who he is. The guy literally said on Laura Trump's show. He literally said he would vote for Kamala again. That's a disqualifier right there. He would vote for her again. He doesn't see anything wrong with that woman. Give me a break. He's a bozo. Got to go to a break. More news, more views when we return. Stick around. And we'll get to that Connecticut Sun story when we return. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Fan of WTIC? Then do us a favor. Download the free Odyssey app and favorite WTIC.
Hey, we're back. It's Reese on the radio, WTIC News Talk 1080. I did not know that Nancy Mace was already announced that she was going to be running for South Carolina governor. Well, congrats to her and good luck. Let's talk about this WNBA thing, because there are a lot of things to consider. And the WNBA Board of Governors has released a statement about this possible sale. And the statement has drawn some fire. Let me read what it wrote. They told this to The Athletic. Relocation decisions are made by the WNBA Board of Governors and not by individual teams. As part of our most recent expansion process, in which 3 new franchises were awarded to Cleveland, Detroit, and Philadelphia on June 30th, 9 additional cities also applied for WNBA teams and remain under active considerations. No groups from Boston applied for a team at the time, and those other cities remain under consideration based on the extensive work they did as part of the expansion process and currently have priority over Boston. Celtics prospective owner has also reached out to the league office and asked that Boston receive strong consideration for a WNBA franchise at the appropriate time. Well, he says that sounds like a dumb public relations statement, this writer of Mass Live writes. He says possible preceding even a dumber decision. And the reason why he says, this writer, why people should be upset, one, is because the WNBA is undercutting the Mohegan Sun, which would be selling the team. And it also is a problem because the next available franchises aren't until 2033, where if Boston decided it wanted to be a part of the franchise, it wouldn't be considered until then. And Boston is making a smart move by saying, let's buy the team, get them to the TD Bank Garden, and build another practice facility for them, which would be great for the city. And I can get that Connecticut wants the Sun to stay, but what did you do to keep them? This effort, this 12th or 11th hour of effort to keep them in the state, what were you doing before this? These rumblings are over a year old, if not older, that it was possible that they may leave and go to another state, in particular Boston. Everybody knew it. Everybody knew it. And here we are. I mean, we're talking about something that was rumbling for a long time. In fact, Governor Lamont, who's now saying, no, we believe women's basketball started here, we'll stay here. But when he was asked before, he was like, we're going to do what we can to keep them. But never said anything else. No efforts, no real efforts were made. I heard no politicians fighting to keep them here. And what's worse off is that the fans didn't either. They didn't. And I want to read a statement in the chat room from a committed leftist. Let me read it. Who can spend $50 a ticket, $50 on refreshments for basketball? Bring a date, it's $200. Family, $400 a game. Who can pay for that? Committed leftists who support female sports. And clearly the left does not anymore. Perhaps because there are no transgenders on the team. Perhaps because they don't really care about the things they said they cared about most. Title IX, that used to be a leftist position, right? That used to be the Democrats' position. We need female sports. We need to make sure that we have female sports. We have to make sure that women have the same opportunities as men. But now that that whole theme has shifted, it's kind of had a course correction. They no longer care about it. But then again, they don't care about anything they used to care about. And by the way, I'm just giving you the feature of the article that I wrote today, which is pretty much a breakdown of that. Everything the Democrats in Connecticut used to stand for, they don't stand for anymore. And female basketball is one of them, and it's gone by the wayside. So Boston cares, let them have it. You should have stepped up. You should have prioritized it. You didn't. And you never had the money to support it. You just wanted to support it in theory. If you could protest about it, show up on the weekends, hold up signs, you were all in. You could afford that. But when it actually meant digging in your pockets and actually spending money on the thing that you care about most, you guys were out. You bounced, as you always do. Unless it lines your pockets. I said the same thing in the article about about DQuat. We're talking about Connecticut, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about Connecticut that had an argument, a debate for years about EV mandates in the state, about everyone being mandated to take wind and solar, electric vehicles, get off fossil fuels. All of a sudden, ignored it, and then started talking about spraying poison in the waterways. What happened? What happened? They just ignored it. I mean, they just bounced. And for what? And what are they showing up for now? What's Connecticut got their panties in a bunch about? You know. Gender-affirming care. Fighting the oligarchy. Tesla cars. They're fighting against Tesla, the preeminent electric vehicle company that sells, bar none, more electric vehicles than any other electric car maker in the world. These bozos in Connecticut protested it because everything they stood for is out the window. Why? Because they've got bigger fish to fry, and that is the big orange bad man. So don't complain now that Connecticut's son want to leave or they want to be appreciated. You don't care. You never did. I mean, unless the team should start, I don't know, wearing anti-Trump shirts, should probably show up to every game. But you don't care about the things you used to care about anymore. No one is fighting against Tesla anymore in the chat room. Yeah, we know. Because even that you guys can't stick to. You're not fighting about it anymore because it's no longer a problem to you. It's no longer a focus. Because you guys can't stay focused. You're making my point for me. The Connecticut Sun used to be the most important thing to you. And now you have other fish to fry. Why? Because you guys are just like any other child. You can't stay focused for more than 15 minutes. You can't. For you guys, it's what's trending. That's the new thing you're protesting. So Tesla's no longer a threat to society anymore? Doge still exists. Elon Musk still invented Doge. Doge is still in Washington. What do you mean there's no longer a protest about Tesla? No longer a protest about the preeminent electric car maker being a Nazi salutist? What happened? Oh, you're off to bigger things? You just moved on like any other teenager who moves from soccer to tennis to badminton? What? Who can take you seriously if you're not fighting the good fight anymore? If it's just a moving target every day? Come on, man. You guys sound like bozos. You're so busy trying to push back on what's obviously clear. You don't have a target. You don't have anything to believe in because you believe in nothing. That's a big part of this. You believe in nothing. You're against everything. And this is the reason why no one has any confidence in you. Who can rely on someone when you can't stay focused for longer than 15 minutes on something? And what happens when you don't throw your financial support to the things that you claim to be outraged about? When you don't actually put your money where your mouth is, those things leave. Those things recognize you don't care. And they bounce. And they either join the other side or they go where they're wanted. To them, they're just the latest pair of sneakers to you. The new fad. Don't blame us. At least on our side, we can be consistent. As soon as we see one of ours being harangued, we join forces and we keep them attired. If you want to take an example, look at American Eagle. No one even cares about that jean company. No one ever did. But all you bozos had to do was boycott it, and everybody jumped on board. Why? To save it. Do you think anybody really cared about buying a pair of $80 jeans? No. But when you guys started going ape about it, they jumped on. They said, yeah, you know what? I can afford to buy an $80 pair of sneakers just to tick them off. You would never do that. You'll go on Instagram, you'll change your status on your social media pages, but spend $1? Actually pay your own money to support what you believe in? No. Hence why you're complaining. $50 a ticket? Who would waste their time? And the drive is so long. Bye-bye, son. All that stuff you thought that those people were pushing for you to exist meant nothing. It's a platitude. It's disgusting. No one's fighting against them today. How do I put this? Is the best way to put this. Everything is going to leave. Everything will be gone if you don't really put your money where your mouth is. Otherwise, you're just going to be a bunch of screaming infants. And after a while, people will get bored of that too. People are going to be sick and tired of the constant whining about the latest thing you didn't get considered for. And you'll realize it. Then you'll probably get focused on something, but then it'll be too late. You know, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything, and that's the point. You fall for everything. And you can talk all day about the Jeffrey Epstein thing. It's not even a story this week. It began no headlines this week because Democrats found something else to moan about. They found something else to be ticked off about. Once the outrage, and that's the thing about you children, you guys will say to each other, that was fun, but we got to get into something else. I'm bored with yelling about American Eagle. Can we talk about something else? And that's exactly what you'll do. Soon you'll be saying in the chat room, we don't even protest about Jeffrey Epstein anymore. Because someone would have told you what to be outraged about that week. But then again, don't listen to me. You already proved it. You're in the chat room saying just that. You don't even moan about it anymore. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We've got traffic and weather coming up soon. And, of course, your phone calls at 860-522-WTIC. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
It's Reese on the radio. Ask your doctor if common sense is right for you. On News Talk 1080, WTIC.
In a little bit, I want to talk about something that my wife started doing or she purchased. And I'm going to, if there's anyone else who does it, I want to hear from you. Buying food online. If there's anybody out there who has done that, I need you either in the chat room or I need you on the phone. So 860-522-WTIC, 860-522-9842. And to just give you a little breakdown of why I'm asking, okay? Because, look, my wife is not very domestic. And I hate to use that term, but that's her term, not mine. I don't want to think anybody thinks I'm some chauvinist. But she says she's not very domestic, and she hates cooking every night. So she found this thing that's online that sort of sends you a week's worth of food every week. And I'm not going to lie, she found an inexpensive one. I'll talk about it a little bit. But if you experience or do something like this, I want to hear from you so that I can understand your experience if you've done it, so maybe you can sort of guide me through it. I'm apprehensive, to say the least, about it. So I kind of want to get some insight on it. This comment in the chat room, the one that makes me laugh about Ghislaine Maxwell being transferred from one prison to the next. What's the outrage? She went from one prison to another prison, still sits in prison. There's an outrage? What's the outrage? That she's still in prison? I mean, is this... like, that doesn't make sense to me, that people on the left now have a problem with the geography of prisoners. Not the fact that they're in prison, but now that their geography has changed, that's something outrageous. That, again, it shows you how silly and petty all of this is and why you can't take it seriously. You just can't. And these people who are concerned don't know what they're talking about. Knuckleheads are in charge of this party. And the people who are supposed to be in charge, the leaders, the party leaders, are scared to death. When you have political leaders who can't even answer a question like, do you support the AOC and Mamdani wing of the Democrat Party, where you have to make your answers about Donald Trump or the focus about that you're so afraid to alienate that base? How can anybody call you a leader? You're a fraud. You're a chump. You're a punk. If you can't come out and just say, nope, at least show folks that you mean business, that you're not afraid of anybody, and you stand for what you believe in. But you don't. You can't, as I said earlier. When that's wavering, when that can be compromised, no one takes you seriously. And there's a reason why you can't support Mamdani and you can't reject him. Because you know that the radicals they outnumber you. And you are politically done for. You're scared to death. You know your time is limited. Like the maniacs they're in control. They run the asylum. That's all I can tell you. We'll get into more of it. When we return, we got our Between Rounds winner, $155 million for Eversource bills. Oh, baby. Wait till you find out what they're spending $30 million for. A policy they abandoned. Let's get to weather and traffic and, of course, news. Jason Caterina's back, and so is Mark Christopher. He's in the BPS Traffic Center. How you doing, boss?
It's Reese on the radio. And don't say we didn't warn you on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Sorry, my bad. We're back. And it's time for our contest winner, of course.
Between rounds.
And congratulations goes to Lisa H. I guess I can say Lisa H.G. from Thomaston, Connecticut. She is our recipient of a dozen bagels a month for 6 months, courtesy of Between Rounds, the Bagel Bakery and Sandwich Cafe, located in South Windsor, Vernon, and Manchester. If you'd like an opportunity to win, you got to go to reeseontheradio.com. That's REESE on the radio.com. There's plenty of stuff, by the way, at reeseontheradio.com. You can go there. You can check out my Substack, read some of my old stuff, become a subscriber so you can, find out something that I wrote about. Some people are calling it, rambling nonsense, I think one critic called it. And by the way, I appreciate the criticisms. It's my first time venturing into the writing world, so saying anything about my writing means that you took the time to read it. And that I appreciate. That means you took the time. Can I say this, Roland? I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm going to take a moment of your time to specify. I don't think that these folks are ready for somebody like me that embraces hatred. I don't think they're used to that, because most people think that when you say something hateful, you know how people automatically get their back up. It's like, what you say to me? But me, I actually encourage the hatred. Like, oh, you want to hate on me? You want to razz me? Like, yes, bring it on. Is that not normal for these people? Are they not used to that? I'm starting.
Yeah, I don't think they are.
No, I don't. I think that they are so used to whatever vile vile comment that they shoot at somebody, they expect somebody to be offended by it. But I don't. For me, it's like, what? You took the time.
I had to get used to the whole culture up here. I thought people were just personally being mean to me, not realizing it's just a culture thing.
Yeah, but you know what? I thought for a long time, they thought that it had weight. So it's like, you don't want. I'm kind of the hater that's worse than usual. It's like, hate on me. Oh, I'll teach you how to hate. I'm really good at it. But yeah, I was like, you hate my writing? Thank you for reading. Let's get another check of the weather and traffic. A man who cannot be hated upon because he is integral. He is the mecca of traffic in the Connecticut region. Mark Christopher's in the BPS Traffic Center. How we doing, sir?
Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Yeah, baby. And we are back with more news and more views than you can shake a stick at. $155 million is going to be borrowed to take care of the Eversource problem. But the question is, will it take care of it? And why is $30 million going to EV mandates? EV stations? I have no idea. But we'll talk about that coming up. Let's get to your phone calls, 860-522-WTIC. What's up, Tony? What's up, sir?
Hello. Boy, I can't believe all the minutes of commercials you guys have. Wow.
Okay, bored. Let's go to Tim in Hamden. Who's next? What's up, sir?
Well, good afternoon. I have two things. First, I'll start off with the little bit lighter thing about the basketball team and everything like that.
You don't even know their name? You don't even know their name? Wait. Tim, you don't even know the team's only professional basketball team. You don't know their name.
See, that's where I disagree, because, the UConn women are professional athletes.
Well, I'm not disputing that, but they're not okay. Yeah. They're not in the pro ranks. They're a college team.
I know.
But no, don't get me wrong. I'll share this with you. And I said this when the Connecticut Sun came, wasn't officially named a team in Connecticut. My first question was, I was always under the impression that UConn women's was the bee's knees around here. I almost feel like they were going to not get as much shine as UConn's women, because that program is just so stellar. It's like, they are it.
Yeah, but the WNBA is also very new. You remember just a few years ago, Brittany
Griner?
What's it? Griner? Yeah, it was over in Russia, having to make extra money and stuff. She couldn't survive.
Right.
She was a top player of one of all time in the NBA, and she has to go play Russia, to make some extra money and everything like that. It's a new emerging league and everything, but I want to be able, to see those games on a consistent basis. What channel are they on? Who are they playing?
I would agree with you in the sense. I would agree with you in the sense of if you keep the Sun in Connecticut, you got to move them to Hartford. That's just my view. That's my view.
Yeah.
That Mohegan Sun is just too out of the way. It is like if there's a complaint about the team, it's about the distance of which you have to drive to get to see them.
Yeah, absolutely. Those Sunday nights or Monday nights for a family of four it's a rough thing.
Yeah, it is.
But the problem was Hartford didn't know what to do with the Civic Center. I'm still calling it the Civic Center.
Right.
And everything for the longest. This was a facility that crashed in during a heavy snowstorm.
Yeah.
So they had to start from the beginning. So what happened? They don't rebuild it and everything. All the concerts, go down to the Mohegan Sun, and then they lose all this money. They could have gone and stuff there. So,
and and I know no one in the Mohegan is going to relinquish any of that to anywhere else once they had a foothold on all of the concerts coming to their arena. So it's like, I don't want to give up that money. Yeah.
But I also don't want corporate socialism either, and that's what it would be if we're going to spend a lot of money and everything, state money, to support the team. It's like, you got me in a hard place here because it's a private organization and everything. They can do whatever they want to. Now, quickly switch it around here.
Did you hear what they're doing in D.C. with the Commanders, with their football team in D.C.?
Okay.
They're going to make D.C. taxpayers put in $1 billion for the new Commander Stadium. $1 billion the taxpayers are going to be on the hook for.
Well, that's what I appreciate about Kraft. When they were doing all that stuff about coming down to Connecticut and everything, all he said was, just give me money, state money for the roads.
Yeah,
and that's all. You don't. I'll put everything else. Great, have all your big concerts and all that stuff, even bigger concerts. In stadium concerts, they're great. Make your money and everything like that.
Could have been a big deal for them. What was the second thing you wanted to chime in about?
Quickly, it's just this idea of Trump. First, he sends really his own personal lawyer now, who was defending him in case, down to interview Maxwell and everything like. That's a little hanky.
I'll agree with that. I'm agreeing with you that it's a little bit hanky, but I will say this, beyond a shadow of a doubt, I don't know what the interview was, but I can't wait to find out. I'll put it to you that way.
Yeah.
I'm just as interested as you are into what he found out or what the conversation was about. But like I said, don't poo-poo it until you know what's going on.
Well, he's sitting there like a clown saying, well, I could pardon her and all that stuff. How do you think
he was asked? He was.
Yeah,
what is it that? Wait. What's this stretch of imagination you folks get with a guy asking him? Did you think? Hold on. But he said, "Look. The guy who asked him a question, have you thought about giving her a pardon?" And his immediate answer was, "I hadn't thought about that." So that's the answer. That turned into. Hold on. That turned out. But wait a minute. What did that turn into? It turned into Trump is considering giving a pardon to Ghislaine Maxwell. Come on, dude.
It's an unforced error.
It is not an unforced error for the guy to say, I hadn't thought about it.
And then you take her from the prison in Florida where she lives. Now you're taking her to I call it a John Rowland prison where you can work on your backhand. You can work on your tennis backhand and stuff. That's
the place that she was in Florida. She was able to do yoga and to jog. I don't know any prisons that do that I've ever heard of.
They're going down to Texas is a less secure prison and stuff. They're hardly making her an example out of it. And
like I said,
and the families are screaming, saying, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" All that stuff. He's making a lot of unforced errors. And
Call
bother, you know,
it what
that's-
you will, but I'm just waiting until she testifies, which I think is coming
You
really,
got
really
it.
soon.
in front of Congress.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I think that's happening very
God.
soon.
Yeah, what? Yeah, I hope they have a delay on that thing. You know, God.
I got to
See
get
you
out
later.
of here. Let me go to some others. Let's go to Fulton. What's going on, Fulton?
What's up, buddy? So how much of the WNBA you think is set up? You think if that team goes to Boston, it's going to be like the Celtics, Lakers of the 80s? You already got Reese there. That's kind of like the Magic Johnson. If Caitlin Clark slips over to Boston, is she the Bird? I don't know.
I think that, listen, it's weird enough, but Boston, if they play at the TD Bank Garden, which is more than likely where they'll play, they'll have their own practice facility. It's right in the heart of the city. People will go and see that game. We know that it was a sellout crowd the last time the Connecticut Sun was there. I think that was done as a test run to see what that was like. And sure enough, it paid dividends for them. And it's a smart move. Unless, and I believe this, if Connecticut really wants to take a shot at keeping them in Connecticut, they've got to move to Hartford, and they got to pay them. They got to spend the money to do it.
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I think it looks like it's set up. Everything's kind of, the draft happened. Cooper, I mean, they trade away the best player in the league to L.A.
Right.
And then they get the number one pick suspiciously, right? I don't know. Then Cooper Flatt goes there. You know, Donovan Clingan, he goes up to Portland. Bill Walton loves him. He's a Portland guy. I'm just saying it sets up a lot like the women are being the men of the 80s. I don't know. I don't know if anybody else sees that or.
I think, listen, Boston made a pretty good play on this. If the WNBA has its way, they don't go. Because then Boston's got to wait until 2033 to actually get a franchise, which will then hurt Connecticut in the long run because people will more than likely go to the new franchise than see the Sun, and it will hurt that team.
Have they test marketed games in those other markets, though? Like, have they sold out? Because Boston sold out.
Yeah, Boston sold out, but that's, again, I don't know. I think that the Mohegan placement is bad. And nothing against the Mohegan. It's just that it's bad because if they're true fans, they've got to travel a considerable distance. Now, what can change all of that is a train service like the Yankees do or the Mets do, or just anybody like from the Bronx. You can take a Metro North from the Bronx right into Yankee Stadium. And Westchester as well, right into Yankee Stadium during the season. So unless they do something like that, I don't know how viable it could be.
I'm just saying with the referees being for you know how like the referees in WWE like let stuff go and people are like whoa,
right?
You know what I mean? Like the stuff that they're letting go is outrageous. You're like, wait a minute, she just got thrown on the floor and everybody's up in arms and the other person didn't see it. I'm like, I think it's all set up to get people to watch. And they set up these rivalries. That's all I'm saying. And they said, you know what worked great? Bird fashion in the 80s. And it did.
Yeah, I will admit the referee jobs are definitely something to behold. I don't know what's going on with it's really bad.
WWE, they go up, they're like, what's going on? They're like, I didn't see it. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, they don't see double dribbles, they don't see walks, travels, they don't see anything.
Those lines, they're like, what happened? What happened?
It's a mess. Thank you, Fulton. I appreciate you. Let's go to Stephen Newington. Hello, Stephen.
Hello. What's going on right now in the political arena?
I don't know, Stephen. I apologize. I'm not doing this today. Go elsewhere. Anywhere. We're not going to go back and forth with the changing of the name and all that. No, we're just not going to do it. I appreciate you. But I'm just not. I'm not going to play the game. But I appreciate you trying. Put in the old good college try. By the way, I want to thank Christy T. She just posted my article in the Connecticut Sentinel. Connecticut votes blue but ditches ideals for tantrums. That's the title of the article talking about the Connecticut Sun and all of the things that they've pretty much gone by the wayside to protest nonsense. I mean, straight up nonsense. They're not even the Democrat Party anymore, even for Connecticut standards, which used to be really easy and really simple. Now they've got this group Indivisible that's at the helm. They're big up here. Oh, are they big? And no one seems to know. I know that there are some people out there, and if you are, you don't have to call me. I know you listen, but you're not a fan, and that's all great. I'm glad you listen anyway. But you have to ask yourself, and I'm appealing to you. If you have any sense of what's righteous in your plight, any sense, do you ever ask yourself, why can't we stay focused on anything and accomplish that? Like, I know you all can walk and chew gum. That's the Democrats' favorite line. You guys say that all the time. We can walk and chew gum, but you can't. Like, it's evident you can't. You don't focus on the thing and actually get results. It's just like you're looking for a new thing to be outraged about, and outrage politics are over. You tried it in 2024. Remember the threat to democracy? You were screaming and hollering about the threat to democracy. What did it get you? And your boy Chris Murphy, who, by the way, is getting tens of millions of dollars in donations, is all across the country still screaming about threat to democracy. A failed platform. And when I ask people what this threat to democracy is, which, by the way, please try, tell me what the threat to democracy is. I got a minute, so let me explain to you what I found out. So I went on Grok on X, and I bought the premium package to argue with the AI and ask, what are the threats to democracy? And the AI kept coming back talking about elections, election integrity. Explain to me the election integrity argument. You know what it was? Donald Trump refused to concede the 2020 election. How's that a threat to democracy, I asked. And they went, well, you point out, it's a good point. I was like, well, didn't they question the integrity of the election in 2016? You make a good point there. And then they talk about norms in the judiciary, criticizing judges. And I went, but wait a minute, didn't Chuck Schumer threaten Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh? And the AI said, you know what, you're absolutely right, that did happen. And I was like, what else? What else are threats to democracy? And everything it came out with, it turns out the Democrats did the exact same thing. And the AI had to concede. You're 100% right. That is, I said, okay, without all of the talking points, can you point out whether or not it's true that Donald Trump is a threat to democracy, or is it just platitudes from the left? And it came back, and just like White Mike said here on the show when he tested it out, it came back and it says, it's true.
Stay locked in. Reese on the radio is on WTIC News Talk 1080.
When we get back, we're going to talk about this $155 million loan the state of Connecticut's going to get in order to take care of the Eversource bill. And it's insane because it's crazy that part of the money has to be paid back, right? It's going to have to be paid back by, taxpayers, not just ratepayers, it's taxpayers. Going to have to pay it back. But the fact that they've allotted $30 million to the EV boondoggle that they've rejected, I mean, they walked away from it. The fact that we're going back there baffles the hell out of me. It just doesn't make any sense. And the state is promising $100 a year in savings on your bill. $100 a year on your bill, according to many estimates. This isn't going to save anybody any money. And when we come back, I have to talk about the true people who are not paying their fair share. Who would have thunk You know who you are. You deadbeats. I know some of you, and you've fallen on hard times. I get it. This isn't about that. But there's some deadbeats out there. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. You deadbeats. Let's see how much you believe that you should be paying your fair share. That's the whole thing. Everybody needs to pay their fair share. If you're paying nothing, you're not paying your fair share. You need to be chipping into this a little bit. So, yeah, we'll talk about that. I got a whole itemized breakdown of this thing. Craig in the car says, nobody wants to go to downtown Hartford at night talking about if the Connecticut Sun were to come to Hartford. I would assume that police presence would be in downtown Hartford at the exits so that people, revelers, and, attendees at the basketball games would safely be able to leave the game and go home. And we're not talking about a rowdy crowd. It's not like the NBA crowd. This is the WNBA. These crowds are much more subdued, way more sophisticated. Ladies, even. Those folks aren't going to be running around, pulling down lamp posts, starting fires. The likelihood of that is slim to none. They're not going to be a bunch of drunk women with their daughters bashing people over the head with beer bottles. You're not going to see that. Okay, I'm not certain. I'm not positive, but I've got a pretty good sense of this. That WNBA fans are not going to be the same as as NBA fans, especially in Connecticut. Even the girl dads are not going to be out there, tussling with other girl dads from opposing teams. I sincerely doubt it. It's just not that kind of vibe. Has anybody ever seen a brawl like that? Let's get to some weather and traffic with Jason Caterina and Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center. Can you imagine
I just heard the word bra.
Yeah, no, brawl. Can you imagine?
Wait. What's that word?
Brawl.
Brawl like in fight?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Can you imagine a WNBA crowd coming out of the People's, what is it? Is it People's Bank now? What is it? What's the new arena called?
People's Bank.
Yeah. Arena?
Yeah, People's Bank.
Yeah, the
Arena,
People's Bank Arena.
Yeah.
People coming out from a WNBA game. Do you think they would ever be as rowdy as NBA fans?
Sure, why not?
Oh, come on!
Look at the WNBA. It's getting as physical as the NBA.
I'm not lying. That thing has turned into pro wrestling. It's like watching Glow.
Yeah,
like Glamour.
seriously. I can see that happening.
Really, you would think that the fans, the dad girl or the girl dads would be out there brawling at the end of the game? Really?
I don't know. I was loading into a gig in Groton on Saturday morning, and I was at the Mystic Hilton there. And the New York Liberty was staying there. I walked in and I saw these really wicked tall women. I'm going, that's got to be the New York Liberty. I know they're playing at the Mohegan Sun. But these women were like 3 times the size of me.
Right.
I was like, oh my god.
Well, did they hip check you or something? I mean, like,
no. They were just kind of chilling out, looking at their phones. But the bus was coming to pick them up to bring them up to the Mohegan Sun. I think it's a done deal. They're going to Boston, and
I think so too. But I think the WNBA is going to stick a little foot on the scale on this one. I don't think they want them to leave because if Boston doesn't get this team,
why wouldn't they want them to leave? They're going into a bigger market, a bigger arena. It's a pro sports town.
WNBA wants the last word. They want the last word on this, and Boston's not due for a franchise until 2033.
Well, yeah. There's more reason to move them because the WNBA, and as in any business, is all about money.
Yep.
And there's going to be a lot more money to be made in Boston. Plus, Pagliarulia, the minority owner of the Celtics. I wish he was the big owner, but he's not. But he's going to build. They're saying they're going to build a $100 million training facility.
Yep.
So that seals the deal for me. I think they're
gone. Me too.
Yeah, I do too. Unfortunately.
Before I go to the phones, I want to play. I'm not playing. I'm sorry. I want to talk about this real quick or just bring mention to it. If you're interested in looking it up, please do. And I'd love to hear your feedback on it if you can. Send me a message on X, Facebook, anywhere you want to. But I'm going to post the video myself. Rod Stewart was a huge part of my growing up music-wise. When I worked at a grocery store part-time, when I was a homeless kid, that's how I used to make money, I listened to Rod Stewart. They played Rod Stewart songs all the time. It was a big deal back in the 80s. And I can say that I've never had anything against him. I always thought he was, a pretty good artist. People liked him, whatever. But he's got a concert that he's doing now, and he did something on stage. I'm going to find the link, and I'm going to post it on Facebook. But what he did on stage was, after the recent death of Ozzy Osbourne, he put this video montage of an AI-generated Ozzy Osbourne with AI-generated people in the music industry who had passed away. It was sort of like showing Ozzy Osbourne up in heaven with all of the artists who have passed away in the past and had an untimely passing. And it goes on to show him with a selfie stick, videotaping himself with the likes of Tupac Shakur, Whitney Houston, what's her name? What's Love Got to Do with It? Why am I forgetting her name? Tina Turner. Tina Turner. Oh, Angela Bassett played her in the movie. Tina Turner. I said Freddie Mercury, Freddie Murphy, George Michael, Michael Jackson, and Prince. And it's a loving tribute to Ozzy being there with all of these great musicians, kind of from Rod Stewart's era, who passed away, with the exception of Tupac and I think this rapper who's named Triple X Extension. I'm not familiar with him. My wife knows who he is, but the kids know who he is. But he took his own life a couple of years back. But I looked at the imagery. I saw it. Kurt Cobain is one of the people on there, as I mentioned, Freddie Mercury. And it's all showing them smiling and, in essence, sort of being in heaven, showing them very peacefully and lovingly. But there are people who are protesting this video, which doesn't make any sense to me. Like this is some sort of desecration of their memory. The video, I'm watching it. I can't even hear it. I'm looking at the video, and Ozzy, they show Ozzy as a very, very young Ozzy. And everyone looks beautiful. Michael Jackson is smiling. Prince is smiling. Whitney looks beautiful. And it's just kind of remembering them and when they were at the height of their career. And it's a beautiful gesture. And I don't understand how that would cause backlash. Some people are just stupid. I just don't get it. You don't even need to be upset about this. Haven't you forgotten about some of the people I saw in there? I just went, I totally forgot. Tina Turner's no longer with us. Totally forgot about that. And it's nice to see them. And they all look iconic, like in the way that you remember them from the 80s or whatever time in which they were really, really popular. Let's go to Rick on the line. Hey, Rick. Rick, you there? Okay, maybe not. All right, let's go. I'll take Frank in Bristol. What do you got, Frank?
I was listening to your program just a second ago, and you were saying what's wrong with this protest that people have of all of these artists.
Yeah,
right?
all of their past. Well, showing them with Ozzy Osbourne, smiling, laughing, and, in essence, showing them in heaven with smiles on their faces, sort of looking back at the crowd. It just looked sweet.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, I know you have read the Bible maybe in parts, correct?
Sure.
And so heaven belongs to who? God,
yes.
The Lord,
yes.
Jesus Christ,
yes.
right?
Yes.
Now, what have these people done for the Lord, Jesus Christ? Have they mentioned him at all? Have they said they have been born again to go to his heaven?
Prince has.
That's the protest.
I don't think. Wait, Frank, wait, with all due respect. We can't possibly know the intentions of the protesters here. They have, other than their outrage, they have not expressed their devotion to the Lord. I mean, there's no way to gauge that.
Okay, so if that is not their protest, then they have no protest that is valid.
I agree.
If there are protests, if their protest is that they were not saved, they didn't give their life to the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
They were not concerned about the things of heaven. If that is their protest, they have a valid protest.
Right. But what's wrong with, if I may ask, Frank, just listen, maybe I'm looking at it from this perspective.
Okay.
The people that are shown on the screen brought joy to many people over the years. Some of them still continue to listen to these artists' music today. Seeing them on the screen,
then give them something that is natural to what they're doing, not heaven. Because Michael Jackson didn't believe in heaven.
He didn't?
No.
I thought he was a Jehovah's Witness.
Jehovah's Witnesses don't believe in heaven.
I thought they didn't believe in birthdays.
No, they don't.
I'm sorry.
they don't believe in sharing blood, okay? They don't believe in Easter, Christmas, whatever.
Yeah.
But they don't also believe in heaven.
But isn't unfair? No, I'm just saying that, Frank, and I don't know what your musical tastes are, and I don't know if you've actually listened to or celebrated any of the people I mentioned, Freddie Mercury, Tina Turner, Michael Jackson, Prince, or any of them. I'm not sure what your relationship, if any, is with their music. But there are people.
Some of their music is in my mind because I grew up.
Right.
Not listening to them, but I had to listen to, as I'm turning the radio or whatever, especially Tina Turner, who was in my day before I gave my life to the Lord, where I stopped listening to. But I cannot get them out of my mind because you just don't erase your mind. I don't want Alzheimer's. So they're still in my mind.
Right. But you have, I'm assuming you have some ethical issues with those people I just mentioned.
No, I don't believe in ethnology because it is a lie. You and I have had this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the typing paper, it's white. You look at tar, it is black. You nor anyone else is black or white.
Right.
These are constructs.
Oh, no, when
that
I
are
say
forced
ethical,
upon people.
maybe you may have misunderstood me. When I say, in essence, what these people stood for in life, you appear to take some issue with, that they were not godly or celebrating.
No.
Oh,
no,
okay.
it's what they stood for and what they stood against.
Mm-hmm.
And if they were not for the Lord, then why, like George Floyd, why paint him as this perfect human being who committed all these crimes, right?
Yeah.
So that's an ethnic thing for some people so that they can validate their blackness. But if the person is standing against the Lord, why should anybody who know the Bible present them as a person who is going to heaven? Because you must also put Hitler in that same category. Everybody that died.
Hitler didn't believe it.
Well,
Oh, yeah, they're right. Anybody. Okay, I thank you for clarifying, because I was like, Hitler didn't believe in God. But no, I get your point. In essence, if everybody who passed away reaches the pearly gates, then Hitler obviously must apply, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you listen to me. I'm going to say this, Frank, and you have every right to, so I don't want you to think that I begrudge you in any way. I totally respect your point of view in the sense of people should not, in your view, people should not just be exalted or just propped up to heavenly grace just because. Because if that's the case, we can put anyone there. I get you.
Absolutely.
And that again, for many people, that does make sense. But I don't see the protest here. But I get your point. Nonetheless, thank you, Frank. I appreciate you giving me a holler.
All right, buddy. Appreciate it.
You got it, sir. Frank is an avid listener. Rarely calls, but when if he finds something that he's interested in, he'll jump in. Again, I said my view is I looked at the video. I'm going to actually grab the link now and post it on Facebook so you can see it yourself. Again, for me, I'm looking at it going. You look at it and you just go, oh, it's sweet in its sense of showing them in a picture. People used to do this with T-shirts back in the day. And some of them have been tacky. Can I tell you about the most tacky one, Roland? This one's tacky. Oh, is it tacky? So there were two instances. As many of you know, my broadcast career began on September 11, 2001. That day, and the events that took place is what started my career in radio. And I was at Washington Square Park after, and there were two tourists who walked through Washington Square Park. In fact, the proximity of Washington Square Park is about a mile and a half north of the World Trade Center. In fact, if you stood in Washington Square Park, and many of you who did, if you stand in the middle of Washington Square Park and look straight down Sullivan Street, if you look up, you can see the Twin Towers directly down the street. So you can walk to it about a mile and a half, maybe even 2 miles. So after the towers went down, many people came to New York to visit Ground Zero. That's what it was referred to as. And I'm standing in Washington Square Park, still a little traumatized in the events after they took place. And I always feel like I kind of had some issue with everything that I witnessed that day. It was really rough to get over. But these people were walking, and it was a couple, an older couple, wearing the same blue hats and blue scarves. It was like a knit pullover cap. And both caps read the words Ground Zero. And they were talking to other people in the park, and they were showing off pictures that they had taken of themselves standing in front of the rubble, like going to the Grand Canyon. And I will never forget, I lost it on these people. I did the most New York thing you could do. I cursed this couple out and said, we're not a tourist attraction, dude. Like, what are you even here for? You're wearing hats that say Ground Zero? What do you think happened here? People died. Thousands of people died. This isn't a joke. I was so outraged by it. But then it got worse. Because 2 weeks before September 11th, well, it was more than that. Yeah, August 25th of that same year, R&B singer Aaliyah died in a plane crash. Now, I know I was responsible for that whole plane crash bit. I'm not going to get into that. Nonetheless, there were people selling T-shirts with the ghostly image of Aaliyah over the Twin Towers, which gave the impression she had died there. It was just the most insane thing. People were selling those T-shirts at Ground Zero, of all places. I just thought it was, and I thought that was the most reprehensible thing I'd ever seen in my entire life. So when I look at this as a celebration of life or celebration of artists who have touched our lives, I don't get it. But that Ground Zero thing, that's too far. Just saying. Let's get another check of our news with John Silver. There she is.
Plane crash.
Yeah, I can tell you a very, very horrible story about her record label and her past.
Oh, really?
Boy, you will not
that's not
believe
unusual.
it.
That's record labels. Come on.
Yeah, record label. You would not believe it. I'll tell it when we get back.
All right.
It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
I just want to let everybody know who's sending me messages. You guys are the best. All of you. I love you all. Y'all's did actually is in the chat room, and he says, got to get paid, Reese, in talking about people selling paraphernalia after the towers were attacked on September 11th. It's absolutely true. Raymond, he says, forgiveness is for everyone. Who is this man to judge? It's kind of where we are. Also, Matteo says, I don't believe that. I just thought that that was the protest. I don't know. Also, Joey P says, one does not get to heaven by works, meaning one cannot earn their way into heaven. One can only get to heaven through putting their trust in the Lord Jesus Christ. And Robert B. writes, if Jehovah's Witnesses don't believe in heaven, then who's knocking on heaven's door? Sorry, I had to. I appreciate it because I got a good laugh out of that one. So keep them coming. I love you folks because you are hilarious. Let me tell the quick Aaliyah story, and I won't get into the whole nonsense, but this is really, really a very horrible story. A lot of people don't know this, but, if you are into that music business thing, I want you to look this up because it's verifiable. Aaliyah's passing was she was filming a music video in Bermuda, Barbados, something like that. Anyway, and the plane crash happened when they lifted off, and the plane had too much weight, and of course it crashed, causing her death, as well as many others who were on the plane. And a lot of people did not know that Aaliyah was made to go do this music video for a song called Rock the Boat because sales of this album were abysmal. It had been out for over 4 weeks, and it wasn't selling. It was not doing well at all. And after her death, this was actually said by a record executive at her label after her passing. This is their exact quote. They said, to be honest, that album was doing so bad, I'm surprised they didn't throw her off a plane, was the actual quote. And even I said, damn, that's how cold that music business is. That was what was said. And everybody who knows it, and I don't care what anybody says, come back at me if you want to. You know you said it. That was the way they treated it. That's a horrible thing to say. But that's how they treated it. They were not even sad. But anyway. And then the album went platinum after her death, which was, again, that's another story. Let's get another check of weather and traffic with Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing real good, Reese.
Yeah,
Thank you
that's
very
it
much.
right there. Rock the Boat. And I think that was one of the best songs on the album.
Good song.
Reese on the radio is getting ready to drop some knowledge on WTIC News Talk.
Drop it. We're back, Reese on the radio. Let's get to a couple of phone calls. Mark's in Windsor. How are you, sir? Mark, you there?
Hello?
Hey, Mark, you there?
Hello?
What's up, boss man?
Yep, I'm here. Hey, I wanted to kind of see if you would get a read on this state trooper. They call him the top tour guy that spit in the YouTube journalist face.
Yes.
I think that they let him retire. I think that's disgusting.
Yeah.
I think that the department and the command staff, they took a huge it stains them.
But I don't think that now. First of all, let's take all of this in consideration because this is a very, very important development that I told people when I discussed it on the 18th. That was when I did a whole monologue about it, opening monologue on July 18th, and at the end of that monologue, I said that he was going to have to go to take a break and leave the department, which of course he ended up doing and was allowed to do. But the story's not over, Mark. By no stretch of the imagination is this over. There's still a pending case, and the Internal Affairs is looking into his actions, not just the spitting, but also the fact that he came at him with his weapon, saying, because again, remember what's supposed to be believed in this story was that the officer, Fehey, was under some form of physical threat by Reyes, which in the video describes nothing of the sort. He approaches him at a great rate of speed while he is backing away. In fact, from the moment he tells him to get off the property, Reyes, he does what he's told. He follows orders.
Right.
And
Fehey goes back in his house and retrieves his gun.
Exactly.
And leaves the safety of his home.
Exactly.
There was no threat, but he leaves his home and runs after.
Exactly. And even even though he's walking, he approaches Reyes at a great rate of speed, even for walking, while Reyes continues to back up and walk away. So he's confronting him with a weapon in his hands while saying that this guy is a threat to him and screaming that he threatened to kill. So what is he there for? What should have been done was secure his home and his family, contact the police, secure the perimeter of his home, make sure that Reyes does not return to his property, and protect himself. But no, he engages with him. And I'll go so far and see if you agree with me on this one. Remember what every argument was about George Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin when he was following Trayvon and the dispatcher said, "We don't need you to do that"?
Yes.
Do you remember that argument? That was a huge argument.
Yep.
They're saying, "We don't need you to do that." And they're saying that because he received those instructions, continuing to pursue him was where George Zimmerman was in the wrong. So let's make that same assumptions with Fehey. Fehey tells him to get off the property. There's visual that he's leaving the property. You go inside, retrieve a weapon, and then approach him while he's continuing to leave. You are in hot pursuit of a guy who followed your instructions.
Yep, I agree. I agree 100%. And if anything, he stalled him from leaving.
Exactly.
The property.
Exactly.
Yeah. And because he could have stayed in his house, there was no need to secure anything. I mean, the man wasn't Reyes. He wasn't there to threaten them or do him any harm.
Exactly.
So maybe some uncomfortable questions, but he was back in the safety of his home, and he could hide there. He was he was hiding inside his home, but he chose to escalate the matter. But I think it's poor, extremely poor leadership and professionalism for the governor's office and for the state police command staff to have allowed him to retire, to even have that, be able to do that. Because to me, it says, the state police says they can spit in your face.
Yeah.
If a trooper, as long as you don't have a camera there.
Yeah. And I think, like I said, they've got a PR nightmare on their hands because, first of all, this guy Reyes, like his tactics or not, is unrelenting. This guy is a dog, like a dog with a bone on this. Yeah. He knows he has Fehey dead to rights on this, so he's not going to let it go to allow this guy to. It's got, again, just when you think he has to walk away from it, I know he is going to escalate this to higher ranks and going to say, look, what this guy did, and showing the videotape, everybody is going to see that and go, this guy had no reason to pursue him while he's leaving the property. And as he's saying, with his hands elevated, let's go to the hands up, don't shoot, narrative. He's got his hands up in the air, telling an officer with a gun in his hand, I'm leaving.
Right.
And so all of that it pushes back on all of the nonsense you've heard from the left over the last 10, 15 years. And this guy is able to just walk.
I would have a real problem reading a state trooper's report today.
Yeah.
Because they let him walk away with that. And if Fehey were writing it, I bet his report is he was on the phone with 911 and he told them that he threatened his life.
Yep.
And we saw he never did that.
Yeah.
Then he's and then he spits in the man's face.
Yep.
I mean, that is one of the most vile, disgusting.
It's reprehensible.
Even in a fight, I could not see doing that.
The part, Mark, about this that really drives me up the wall. Let me tell you this. You brought up a good point earlier, talking about how Fehey was on the phone inside of his house contacting the police. Now, I want you to think about this, okay? You have an officer on the phone with the department saying that a person has trespassed on his property who has threatened to kill him. Tell me, in any other world, in any other scenario, that doesn't put sirens up and hundreds of police officers running to the aid of one of their fellow officers.
He had 8 cops there. He got 8 cops there.
Exactly.
8 or 9 cops.
Exactly.
He got 8.
So with that scenario, knowing that you have the backup, I'm an officer of the law, even though I got desk duty. I'm a former state trooper. I've been in the field. I've worked for the department or as a state trooper, 20 years? He's as a veteran. And this guy knows everybody that is anybody. And I call on the phone and I say, I got a guy threatening me at my home, a cop's home. And you don't think that there's a legion of police officers waiting to get there to render you aid, and you decide to leave the comfort of your home and to go pursue the guy, and you're going to tell me, and it's caught on camera, and they're going to just allow this to slide? It can't. It looks embarrassing for the whole department. Everybody.
That whole shift, that entire Groton PD shift, that had to have been there because there were 8 or 9 police cars. I wonder how many are on a shift at one time.
It's a great point.
Entire shift was there.
And again, I just say, look, this is one of those things where I said it over and over again. As a supporter of the police, as a supporter of the guys in blue, this isn't about that. Because again, I could sit up here and just rail and go, see, that's how cops do. I'm not that stupid. We saw the incident.
We don't
exactly.
Do that.
We don't do that.
Yeah, we don't
we
do
are
that.
talking about the incident that took place between Fehey and Reyes and what we saw. And everybody else. And this is where the Groton Police Department can show that, look, when one of ours does wrong, we do the right thing. We hold him to the same standards we would any of our officers in that situation. Is one, you don't pursue the threat once the threat is off your property. You've contacted the police. You don't pursue the threat with a gun and spit in his face to exacerbate the situation. Because what are you spitting in his face? Because you're hoping that he's going to swing on you, which in essence gives you now the right. Yeah, I was just going to say, it gives you the right to use your weapon.
Yeah. That's what he was trying to do. He was clearly, and he was setting him up in the worst way.
I'm sorry, I don't know what was in his mind, but how do you not come to that conclusion in that situation? Because everything he did was wrong.
Yes, and contrived and manipulative.
Yeah.
And my question is, how many attorneys, how many people incarcerated behind this trooper, this nut? How many of them are having their attorneys look at their cases and say, see, the dude is a liar. You see, the dude is manipulative. See, there are issues that should be looked at more closely. In my
very good point. Because, and again,
it's right there in black and white video.
You don't help the situation with anything that he's done. Like I said, he's lending the idea that this guy may have done other things and because of his hot-temperedness may put into question any arrest he may have had. But maybe that's the reason why they have two choices here. Either they investigate this particular case and hold him accountable and think that it's all going to go away. But I got to be honest with you, Reyes he's got momentum because his interaction with the governor Ned Lamont, because I didn't get to see it, but I read about it. This guy's going for broke because he really does think he's got a case here. Yeah, Ned was.
And Ned was rude. He was rude, and I was really, really disappointed. I mean, I'm not a fan of Ned Lamont, but I was disappointed in his demeanor. I mean, he lost a lot as a gentleman because I think he should have listened to the man.
Yeah,
I mean,
and you know what?
Dude, as a professional, came to the state, and he has a legitimate concern, and that is what this trooper did is what Fahey did is disgusting, and Ned should have listened to him.
But that's the point, and go back to the hypocrisy of Ned Lamont. Here's a guy who wanted to reform the police department or the police in the state because of the actions of an officer that's not even in his jurisdiction, okay, in the George Floyd case. So here he's got a case that, again, he can address, and he refuses to, which, again, just flies in the face of who Ned Lamont is. When it counts, he's got nothing to say. When it doesn't have anything to do with him, he's all talk.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And the same thing with the commissioner there. That guy, he comes in and, I can't remember exact word for word, but he was looking to be an element of a change person, and a decision maker. And this is front and center. There's no way that Brian, he should not have had that opportunity. He should not have had any option.
I think that allowing him to save.
They should have arrested him and they should have fired, and he should have been.
Well, I'll put it to you this way: if this publicly, I would say this one: if the PR nightmare continues for the department or for his higher ups, then something must be done. And outside of that, I'm just going to say Reyes has a pretty good civil case because, again, it's all caught on tape. So that's probably what's going to happen. Thanks, Mark, man. Always good talking to you, man. Yes, sir. You got it, man. You too. Yeah, I mean, look, I watched it 1,000 times. I knew that there was going to be a retirement. As soon as I saw the tape and everything, there was going to be, all right, listen, buddy, you got to walk away. You know, we'll make it okay. But you've listened to this show long enough. And I don't know whether or not the elements here are just backwards by nature or the way in which they do things. I don't know. But I'm trying to address a culture of getting it wrong. I'm trying to correct that. And this is how you get it wrong. You've got to be proactive. This sort of trying to cover it up, save face, put a Band-Aid on a bullet hole, those days are over. And you've got to come at it head on. This nonsense of the way in which people deal with media types, people you don't like. Right? I know that it's really, really cushy up here in Connecticut because no one's going to hold anybody accountable. No one wanted to touch this story. Everybody was behind the 8 ball on this story until it went viral. And then everybody else pretends like, yeah, we were always on it. You were a week late. And now it's out of your hands. And now if you don't address it, now if you don't talk about it, you're going to still look like you had no interest or you didn't know any better. And this is going to look bad. And there are people who are going to have to pay for it. It's a bigger scandal now because people didn't know how to deal with the scandal in the first place. And that's one. First thing you do is you own up and you address it head on. You go right for it. That's the way you got to do it. All this cowering and running away and I can't answer you right now. Call me. I'll talk to you in private. Those days are over. Those days are over. And that's why Ned Lamont looked as bad as he did. He looked like he had the rug pulled from under him because he did. Because he did. And whoever didn't tell the governor about it, shame on you. Because he looked flat-footed. But what else is new?
The Odyssey app lets you jump back to the moments you missed from WTIC News Talk 1080. Download the free Odyssey app. Search WTIC News Talk 1080 and tap earlier today to get started.
Normally I would tell you what happened was, but I totally forgot. We didn't do Hollywood news. It's my favorite part of the day. I'm always excited to do Hollywood news. I know some of you hate on it, but I don't care. This is actually weird that this is happening. If you've been listening to me doing Hollywood news, you notice I've been talking about a lot of sequels, a lot of remakes. The only reason why I pay attention to those stories is because it shows me that Hollywood is broken. Just as an entire medium, it's just broken. They won't try anything new. They won't go in another direction. And it's the reason why places like Angel Studios is doing so well. Because all of their stories are new. A lot of them are faith-based. And they do millions and millions of dollars. And they do. But regular Hollywood is just, forget about it. They're gone. It's over. And this may be another case of it. On June 19th, 2026, will be the release of another, wait for it, Toy Story film. Toy Story 5 is bringing back Tim Allen and Tom Hanks for another go-around. This time, they're going to confront a world where kids favor gadgets over toys and reinforcing family bonds, loyalty, and the value of tradition in a changing society. That's what the movie is going to be about, coming in June of 2026. And I went to go look it up when the first Toy Story came out in November of 1995. And the age group, the marketing age group for that first Toy Story, or the Toy Story movies, are from ages 4 to 12. And that means that when this movie comes out, the ages of people who saw the first Toy Story will be 34 to 43. That will be the age group of the people who watched the first Toy Story movie back in 1995. Next year, that's how old they'll be. If you were 4 to 12 years old in 1995, you will be 34 or 43 in that range. And I'm trying to figure out, would you take your kids to go see Toy Story 5? You'd have to see all 4 of the first films. Doesn't that make sense?
She already did.
You already had her see it. Yeah, but your daughter's like a late teen. Would you take her? How old is she going to be, like 17 when this comes out?
16.
16. Would you take her to go see Toy Story at 16?
Yeah.
Really? You think she'd still be interested? Yes, I guess so.
Absolutely.
I guess so. My wife made me take her to go see Lilo and Stitch, so I guess that makes sense.
There you go.
Oh. But I found that interesting. Goodness gracious, some of them would be close to being grandparents. Let's get a check of traffic and weather. Jason Catarina's out. Bob Larson's in. But Mark Christopher, he's in a BPS traffic center. I know you've at least had your kids watch Toy Story.
Oh yeah, I've seen a couple of Toy Story movies. I've actually seen that series.
Can you believe that we're up to 30 years? We're up to the 5th installment.
That's crazy.
Is that wild?
Now I love Mater, the rusted out tow truck.
So do I.
And there's a Mater on Route 2 in Preston, right before Foxwoods on the left. If you're going down toward Foxwoods, it's just sitting there on the left. So my buddy's got grandchildren, so I said, "Hey, hop out of the car. We'll take a picture with Mater. You and Mater."
Oh, they have like a little replica Nader on the land?
It's not a replica. It's just an old rusted out tow truck that's just parked on the side of Route 2.
It looks just like them?
It's in Preston just prior to the Foxwoods Resort Casino.
Oh, that's cool.
And so I go by there and I said to my buddy, he's got grandchildren, I say, "Hop out. We'll take a picture. I'll make it look like it's Mater from Toy Story." So I love that.
What's up, everybody? You know who it is.
You know who it is.
You know who it is. It's Reese on the radio. Frederick Douglass of the 21st century.
It's WTIC News Talk 1080.
All right, we're about to get up out of here. I didn't get to the $155 million story that Connecticut's borrowing, but we'll talk about it tomorrow. I've got all of that and so much more. We also just got, about an hour ago, that criminal indictments are on the way for Russiagate, so stand by for that. That's going to be huge for who is going to be sent or whose names are going to go to the grand jury. That's an important thing. Also, on the Toy Story front, Bushwhacker says, "I saw the first Toy Story in Disney World." Stevie V in the chat room says, "The results speak for themselves. Toy Story 4 made $1.068 billion worldwide, which was just $2 million higher than Toy Story 3 in 2010, unadjusted for inflation. It's now the second highest grossing Pixar film of all time, behind Incredibles 2. So, okay, I guess that just prints money. I get it. But I'm just trying, I'm like, I think I've seen 2 Toy Story films. I haven't seen anything after that because I feel like I aged out. In 1995, I was 26. Even then, I thought I was too old. Well, I was 16, and I saw the Transformers movie, the cartoon. But think about it. I was a geek. Okay? That movie had some important names in it, all right? It was voiced by the likes of Leonard Nimoy, Robert Stack, Orson Welles, Judd Nelson. But nonetheless, there were names attached to that movie. Okay? Does anybody, you guys forget about that? I was 16. I sat back in the theater with my girlfriend Colleen in the Bronx. That same movie theater would be shot up at the premiere of Godfather 3. It made all the papers. It was national attention. Some of you might even remember that story. Let's get to the phone so we can get up out of here. Let's go to Jeff in Marlboro. How we doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. How about you, buddy?
I'm all right, sir. What's up?
So I got a question. I'd like to phrase the question in 2 parts and then have the answer, please.
Okay.
Okay, my first thing is Ned Lamont, 1 to 2 months ago, did he not veto a bill regarding increasing affordable housing? Yes or no?
That is correct, sir.
Okay. And not that I'm for the bill, I just want the facts.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure I heard the story right. So then, in response to Donald Trump wanting to get homeless people off the streets and put them into treatment programs and whatnot, he says, I believe he said something akin to
criminalizing homeless people.
Homelessness is not a criminal act. You know, we need more affordable housing, and we are working on that. So he vetoes a bill that encourages affordable housing, and then he says, well, you know, mighty Ned to the rescue. We are working on that.
Again, this is exactly why it's so important for me to be there. Because what you just pointed out, not one person in the media who's in a press conference with the guy even brought it up. It's like it's the biggest story that this guy was handing out vetoes that now has him in a position where he's going to be primary should he run. And then he comes out there and says, oh, I'm against Big Bag Trump. And not one person has brought up what you just brought up. Not one. Not one of them even thought about it. Says, hey, buddy, didn't you just veto an exact plan that sort of exacerbates the issue that you're in right now? And he doesn't, and no one even has the guts to ask him. They just sit up there and nod, agreed with him. Yeah, Big Bag Donald Trump, absolutely. And anybody with half a brain knows that it looks ridiculous.
Yeah, he basically said, I don't want to touch this issue 2 months ago. And then now he says, we're all over it.
We're all over it. Why? Because it gets him to see, I'm fighting against Trump progressives. See? That's all it's about.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's dumb. So was that all your questions were, sir?
I think so, pretty much. Thanks for the time.
You got it, man. I appreciate you, sir. Let's go to Adam in East Hartford. How are you, Adam?
Good. Always great to talk to you, my friend Reese.
What's going on, sir?
And I listened to you Friday afternoon with your wife. Hey, Ghislaine Maxwell, I know Trump didn't do it, but he should not let her out. He should not give her a pardon. It would be, I don't want to say political suicide, but it would not be a good thing, right?
Well, he's a lame duck anyway, but I do take your point. He loses a lot of political capital. I'll put it to you this way. I think that the way in which he's going to go about this, and I'm just spitballing here, so I don't know this for certain, but if I'm looking at the calculus of this from the Trump administration, I want as much as I possibly can to utilize the information she has in a way that politically helps me if I have to. What I mean by that is don't use her for political reasons. You only use her if indeed she's got something that's worth presenting. If she's got nothing, there's nothing to use, right? It's like, you know what, this is bogus, and I'll just tell everybody, here's what she had, and this is why it was of no use to us. And just use it that way. I don't have to let her out of jail. I don't have to give her any sort of immunity. But if she's not offering up anything that's worthwhile, why would I take any give her any sort of provisions for her testimony? I would say nothing. I would say, you know what, we'll put you in a cushy prison, but you're still staying locked up. But immunity or a pardon? No, I don't think it's worth it. Not for Trump.
You hit the nail right on the head. Keep up the good work, and I'll keep listening, all right?
Always a pleasure, sir. Let's go to Dave in Windsor. How are you, sir?
Good, and yourself, Reese?
Well, what's up, man?
Hey, on the sun. You know, you made it into a political thing, but honestly, it's just about money, and it's about market. And I give a lot of credit to the Mohegans for bringing them up in 2003 for $10 million. And the league is growing. And there is something underway that I read about. Lamont is speaking to some group. They're not offering as much money as the group in Boston.
Yeah.
But they are talking about relocating them to Hartford and also putting a training facility in.
Let me ask you this, Dave, real quick. Dave, I'm going to let you finish, but I just want to ask a question about about the part about Mohegan Sun, because it sounds like you like the idea. Is that correct? You like the idea of keeping them in Hartford but taking them out of the Mohegan Sun? Do you like that idea?
Well, yeah, and I'll tell you why. Because it's economics. It's no different than what happened with the Whalers back in the day.
Right.
Of course, that was a municipal extortion that Carmona tried to pull back then.
Yeah.
And with these guys, and it's the same thing Kraft did. Municipal extortion.
Right. But let me ask.
It tells me that these guys are billionaires, and they got to go and extort money from governments and taxpayers to fund their
Let me ask you this on the front about taking them to Hartford as opposed to the TD Bank Garden, right? What if they go to Hartford? The deal that they are going to lose out on is over $300 million. That's what the Mohegan tribe is going to get from this. The article that I was reading today from Mass Live says that, look, if I'm the Mohegan Sun, I'm looking at it going that the WNBA and Ned Lamont are undercutting the Mohegan tribe for a crap load of money. They've got if they've got a choice here to who they're going to sell it to. Clearly, you're going to go for the big money because, there are other, factors into that money. I don't think that they're going to sell it for a cheaper price to go to Hartford when they have a chance to make big bank going to Boston. What do you think of that angle as far as the Mohegan Sun is concerned?
Well, again, what I read was the offer was in the $300 million range.
For them to go to Hartford?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, the Mohegan isn't going to. No, I mean, again, it's economics,
Right.
But the offer was less, less than what they're willing to put out in Boston. And, the unknown is, maybe these two games that they sold out, that might have just been an anomaly. I don't really know. And the other thing is, they have gotten great fan support. They have sold out their season tickets for next year, and they average almost 9,000 people in a 10,000 seat arena. It's just, again, as the league grows, the players demand more money. No different than the Whalers. Salaries started to go up. Ticket prices started to go up. They were still putting 12,000 people in that place, but it couldn't be sustained. The market is not going to sustain the salaries that these guys started to demand in that time frame.
Well, let me ask you this on a marketing level. Because it seems like you sound pretty much involved in this in the sense of you've been following it deeply. But let me ask you this. Do you think that even though they're like the Mohegan Sun, I think is just over 10,000 seats, Hartford, they have a likelihood that I think it's a little more than that, or is it under that at the at People's Bank?
14,000.
Okay,
I think about 14,000. Maybe a little bit more once they remodel it.
Right. So you got about 14,000. Now, what I'm asking you is, and again, no wrong answers, but just from what you know, if they were based in the capital city, do you think they have a likelihood to sell more seats because they're in close proximity of places like Meriden and Bristol and everywhere else, that they'd again increase their fandom?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do.
I agree.
Again, will they be able to consistently put 19,000 people into the Boston arena?
Garden? No.
I don't know. That's the unknown.
No.
Again, it's a bigger market, and they might. That's a decision for them to make, but it's going to be strictly based on economics.
No, I think you're right about.
If they feel that they can get their return on investment, then they're going to do it.
Yeah, I think
it's up to the WNBA and whether they're going to jump the other people in line and move the franchise.
No, you're 100% about the bank, because the truth is 19,000. That's a tough road to hoe as a new franchise. Even though they are the Connecticut Sun and what they'd be doing is moving, they probably get a new name and the whole thing. The names would be the same. The fanhood, of course, they did have that one. You're right about the anomaly point. $19,000 for a WNBA team. If they're struggling, like if they're in the bottom tier of like their division, the likelihood that they're going to fill up that arena to 19,000 a night that they play at home is highly unlikely for Boston. Boston's a winning town. It's title town. And if you're not doing well, people don't show up.
The other thing to consider up there is that the Bruins get all the money.
Oh, yeah.
In that arena. The Celtics don't make anything from the concessions.
Yeah.
The Bruins make all the money.
Yeah, indeed
so
they do.
There's that part of it, too. one other comment. The firing that Trump did, I've never heard of anything so crazy in my life. Bureau of Statistics.
BLS, the Bureau of Labor Statistics. You think that was a wrong move to fire her?
That makes absolutely no sense. If you know anything about it, those statistics are verified by tax returns and money going into the federal government. So
but why did they get it so wrong then? Why did they get it so wrong? This woman was demonstrably wrong. I mean, the numbers she was getting were insanely bad.
No. That's where you're wrong. Just read about it.
I did.
We don't have time to get into debating that.
Okay.
But,
well, it's a little late.
Wrong.
It's a little late in the show for that. But Dave, you know what? I'll take you up on that. I'll read a little more into it. But what I've read,
do a deep
dive
on it.
Okay.
Do a deep dive and go into the Economist and read about it.
Okay, I will. I'll definitely take you up on that. Thank you, Dave. Much appreciated, sir. You too, sir. Good talk. I like that. The Connecticut Sun. That debate's going to be around for a little while on whether or not they stay or they go. But I'm interested to find out exactly if the fans here fight back. Maybe I'm missing something. I don't hear a lot of people screaming for them to stay, but with the exception of Dave there. You know, but I think it's a good idea to keep them in Hartford if they can, and if they can pay the price, they should. All right, make sure you check us out tomorrow. We had a great Monday. Welcome to your week. We got more news and more views than you can shake a stick at right here. As I always say, radio is free, so we thank you for paying attention. Remember to keep JC in your hearts and in your minds. Sean Patrick, we love you and we miss you. Remember that panic is not planning, so plan your work and work your plan. Me, I'm Reese on the radio. You have a good night. Pleasant tomorrow. John Silva's got news, and Mark Christopher's in the BPS Traffic Center getting you home. Good night, Mark. See you mañana.
Hey, all right, absolutely, Reese. Thank you. If you're heading into Hartford right now, this traffic report being brought.
All right, good sir.
Thank you, sir.
Manchester seeing a real good ride around Hartford 8491,
See you mañana. Welcome back.
Quiet middle.
Yes, sir. Shit flowed nice.
I did.
In Newtown, slowing 9 up to the Rochambeau Bridge. If you're traveling in.
All right, everybody. Fantastic. Thank you, everyone, for your participation. You've all been great. I'm sorry I couldn't get to everybody's chat, but I try. Thank you, Raymond. And I will talk to you soon. I've got to deal with okay. Somebody's commenting on my thing. Anyway, I got to find out what went on with the wife today and some other family business, and then we'll see you mañana. Don't forget to check out the show at reseontheradio.com. I'll upload that soon if you want to watch it uninterrupted. It will be there. And also, we're going to start doing some online stuff, some other online stuff this week. So stay tuned for that. All right? Love you guys. Be good to each other. Holla.